I think I didn't have the right thing selected. Awesome. Thank you, Christy. How do you pronounce your name? Katora? That's so pretty. Hi. Okay, so these are my the thoughts for today. Was to just kind of talk you through some elements of the program pretty briefly and answer questions. And, this is the first time we've offered this, and I'm telling you maybe a little behind the scenes with that. We're still kind of learning as we go. So I'd really love your feedback on why you might want to use this course. Like, are you professional or what is it? And we added um, a payment plan option to the course, which I just texted my office manager because I'm not seeing it working, but I've clicked on the page so many times it may be like not showing for me. And I added a juicy discount code to the course, and it's just right there on the page. So you can just like read it and put it in. Um, oh, no problem, Katora. Well, it also I'll have the little recording from today too. But yeah, you can hop in and out. So yeah, does that sound good? And where you guys can really just guide me today. So what do you want from this time? Um, and again, it's kind of a chance to see if using this course is a fit for you. And I thought we can maybe once we go over some things, kind of play practitioner. So um, I take a lot of mold questions all the time, and I did that in the first webinar that I did. But really, I'm trying to teach people to be mold practitioners or think like mold practitioners. And I know that you guys already have knowledge. There's just probably some gaps in the knowledge. So if you wanted to bring on like a case or your case, and we can kind of talk it out how to sort of think it through, I think that could be fun. Do you need other certifications or trainings? I think if I were you, I would get also like health coach certificate, like an FDN, or there's like IIN. I think FDN is a good one because they do labs. They can help you get access to all the labs and help you interpret labs. So this course is sort of like a specialty subject, right? So we're not teaching you, I mean, we're going to touch on like all the body systems, but we're not teaching you that from A to Z. And we're not really teaching you business or we are teaching you how to interact with a client. But I would say that this course is like, an addition to another foundational course. So that's a great question. I think that even though there isn't like a business component, you're going to kind of learn how I do this business. And I'd be happy as we go to answer questions on that as well. Okay, Christy's an FDN. Great. Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, Christy, the one difference is this is a live course. So that's maybe a factor. I mean, if you could, um, buy it and listen to it later, or we probably will offer it in a different capacity later, like as a like a hybrid course or something. But yeah, I think one difference is that it's live, and I don't see many courses be live. And for me as a student, I like it to be live because I just, we all have so much to do, and I'll be like, oh, I really need to go listen to that, and I never will do it. Um, so that's for me the motivation, and then like the interaction and the questions I think are really important, especially with mold because it's so complicated. So you could watch a recording and be like, what did that mean by that? So yeah, so um, Yeah, Katora. Yeah, yeah, you probably understood that. So Wagner, I've never heard that name. Oh no, it's a kid, it's a business name. I'm a patient that's been tested for mold and I have a bunch of high ratios. There isn't anyone who near me who can help. So I need to figure out how to help myself, where to start. That's amazing. Okay, so I'm just gonna be like super honest about the options for you. This course is gonna like make you a mold expert. So if you run some of your own tests or remediating your own house or whatever, you'll know a lot. It may not be a fit for everyone because it's going to be kind of high level about certain things like labs, but the rest is I think pretty consumer friendly, like learning about home testing and supplements and stuff. So that's kind of option one. And then option two, I've had some people reach out and just be like, I just can't afford this. I mean, my mold book is super, super comprehensive and it's a $20 paperback. So, and it's an audio book. So it could be a good way to like get a format going. And then the third thing is you can see us privately. So we have people come to us now just to talk about like their belongings and their move. We have people bring us labs. So we are online to work privately too. So I'm just giving all the options. We also have a lot of free blogs and stuff. So it sort of just depends on a person's like personality type and level of interest. When I made this, I thought this is a great course for people going through mold because you're like talking to different maybe experts or reading different blogs and you don't know like who to rely on or make sense of it all. So I'm trying to create something that um not to say that, a few things in the course may change in our opinions over time, but like it's really solidly researched and we have a lot of experience. So it's something that you can like use and make good decisions as you go through the process and save you a lot of money. Like we screwed up so many things. So to me, it's a great investment for a client, but we'll see. We'll see if people find it. I know when you're going through mold, your brain isn't always working the best, and some people may find it just too much to take on. But if you like to learn and your brain is working, I'll be there to answer your questions as you go through your own journey too. So you can bring your own case questions to the lives. And it's 2 months, so we'll do a different unit every week, and you'll just kind of build and learn more and more. So yeah, I would agree. The book is a good start. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me just show some things, but just keep asking questions. This is like perfect. This is just what I was hoping for. Um, So also, I put the link in the chat, but I think I can put it as a banner too. Um, and then you'll see right on the page the coupon code. So make sure to put it in. Um, if Let's see if that works. No, it's like the news. It's like CNN. It's easier to probably click in the chat, but anyway. What was I saying? I forgot. Okay. Oh, it's going to share the screen. Okay. So again, this is the enrollment. I know what I was going to say. If you need the 2 payment option and it's not showing for you, just email us. I'll put that in the chat too. Or maybe she's fixing it right now. Or maybe it'll just work for you. But I'll put my email on here. And you can also if you have like a question you want to ask me privately, you can also email me. So we made this code for the FDNs, and then I was like, I'll just give it to everybody. So that makes the course 797, and then you can split it. So with two payments of 400 is pretty reasonable, and you're getting, a lot of information for that you can use in your own little journey or your career. Okay. So you may, if you attended my earlier webinar, these were like the three areas that I thought are the most lacking when it came to practitioners dealing with mold. One is that they don't understand enough about the home. So they're sort of winging it and like having people run an army, but they don't like really know what to tell people to do. That is not enough. That is not enough. Even if you're a health practitioner, this is environmental illness, and you need to be able to advise the person on their environment. You don't have to be like a perfect expert, but you need to be, giving good advice, frankly, and pointing them in the right directions, growing some lists of resources, perhaps, learning to read some home tests, learning how they compare. So we'll cover all that. And I know about belongings, and I know, a little bit now about airflow, humidity, drainage away from the house. Like I've become pretty knowledgeable just from interviewing people and doing my own study. So we'll cover that quite a bit. And then the middle one, it's not something we're going to linger on a lot, but I just found it as a client when I went through mold that sometimes I didn't feel that supported as a human. And it's a devastating process, as you know. And everybody's got a different personality type, but as far as like what they need from you. But just holding space for people and, guiding them gently, appreciating that they're often, really at a low point. So that's something, we'll touch on just probably here and there in the course. And then the last one is lack of clinical skills. So these are things like the actual labs and making protocols. Again, you kind of can't be just throwing stuff out there. I mean, you can, and some of it may work. But for instance, I had a client Thursday who is a smart guy, and he's kind of halfway through his mold journey. And I'll be out, I won't name names, but he had seen another practitioner's team who is pretty well known, and he said he wasn't impressed with the session. Like it was too general of advice. So he's at a later stage where he needs very specific remedy, so to speak, for his recurring SIBO, and he still has some brain fog. So knowing what to do at every step is amazing, right? I mean, frankly, there aren't many mold practitioners out there really getting it, really getting how to talk to the person, what to say at like step 1, or step 10. Like there's different things, and you have to discern like what is appropriate now to do with the client, and consider their budget and like how many supplements are they willing to take, and how, where are they living now. So we're gonna, I think Mickey and I both are really excellent at that. So not only are we going to share how to read certain labs, how to, treat certain things, and we're going to get specific on like gut infections and all sorts of things. And we can honestly probably answer any question you have on that stuff. Where you'll get a sense of like how we discern things, and we'll do case studies like in the class. Okay, so I'll just briefly cover this. Like again, it's kind of made for practitioners, so we'll kind of teach you, give you some tools and things to look for in your clients. But really, we can take mold advocates or health coaches or anybody. It's just kind of meant to be, it's high level, but anyone is welcome to come. So these are the 8 lessons. I believe they're on Wednesdays. Yeah, they're on Wednesday, like early evening, late afternoon. If you can't make it, we will have a form where you can ask questions ahead of time too. And I've used that format before and it works really well. So the first one is sort of basic, I guess you could say, but it's also not, because just really understanding the difference between mold and mycotoxins and where mold can live in the body, how it affects things like your thyroid, your mitochondria, um, how really mold becomes a problem in the home. It's really important, right? And I think a lot of people are missing some of these basic understandings. So that can cause a problem down the road as well. And then we'll move into more like setting up a treatment plan, assessing your client, um, thinking about, is the person like a child or a senior? Like, how do you adjust for that? Sort of setting up the order of treatment, like I mentioned earlier, like this is a lot of steps. So, and it depends where your client's at. So we'll kind of get into all that. So this will be a good kind of clinical day. So those two first lessons are with me, and then these next four lessons are with Coach Mickey. So she's going to cover mold testing, body in the body on this day, and different other labs like hormone testing, gut testing, thyroid testing, stuff like that. And then for lesson four, she's getting more into home testing, uh, how to deal with like your decisions around the home, which she has personal experience with, and her husband has actually become, I don't know if he's doing it full time, but he started doing some remediation for people. So she has a ton of knowledge around the home. Lesson five is, excuse me, I would say like a bit of a grab bag, supporting like bile flow, thinking about diet, uh, thinking about how to, not thinking, sorry, I got distracted. Um, Retraining the nervous system, like options around that. And then six is getting really specific on gut infections and like different kind of treatment modalities to choose from. Binders, that's it's kind of become a big conversation. And then lesson 7, 8 are back with me. I'm going to get into more treating like symptoms and systems, which I cover in the book, but now I'll be doing it in more like an actual protocol type way. The book is more like, here's a list of ideas. So this will be, just more specific, a little bit more interactive with figuring out why these symptoms, all these symptoms can come from mold, right? But like, how do we get after them and help the client heal? And short-term things too, like if people aren't sleeping, um, people, I don't know, so there's certain things that keep people from sort of having energy in the day to even do this healing work. So we'll work on that. And then the last one is sort of a wrap up of, what are the stages of actually getting better, and what does that look like? You really, you want your client to get to a point I call the maintenance stage. You're always going to be a person who is affected by mold, and that may come with certain sensitivities for life, um, but not, I would say, less than you think. So I mean, I don't think I should go be in a super moldy place, and I still have a little sensitivity to like air pollution. um, but yeah, I mean, frankly, I don't have much left, but that's symptomatic, but it took a long time. And just generally, I just have to be careful of my health, is really, we all should be, right? We should all be careful of our health for our whole lifetime. And I think we'll take like extra case studies this last week, like maybe more formal case studies where we actually, type out what you send us and put it on slides or something like that. I think we'll kind of see as we go what people want to bring to the table. So we'll take questions every time. Um, And then we'll kind of play with like doing more in-depth case studies as examples. So that's mostly it. There's a little bit more on here. You can kind of go probably just read yourself. This is the scheduling. Um, and oh, this is good. So we actually got 5 different bonuses from friends. Laura Adler, you may know, she's an amazing environmental toxins expert. So she donated a module of her course. It's a $300 value. And then Immunolytics, which is a plate testing company. If you sign up as like an affiliate with them, they'll give you a $200 kit of stuff for free, which is amazing. This is my offering. This is more about like the energetics of your sessions and how to make the most of them. This is from Econugenics, the maker of Pectisol. They're giving a mycotoxin rescue guide. He's amazing, so that's super cool. And then We Inspect is giving a practitioner toolkit. There's trainings here on the home that you can do. And I think, I'm not totally sure, but I think they offer like a little bit of a certification if you do their home mold training. So these are really great resources to have that you probably not going to find anywhere else. So they have like over $1,000 in value as well. So we'll just get that added to your student center once the course starts. So yes, they're recorded to replay later. Basically, like automatically, they'll be up for replay. I use the same service. It'll be like a private YouTube live. Any other questions? Does anybody have mold clients now? I'm curious, or just more like thinking of having them? I'd be interested in like what challenges you find if so. Oh, maybe that's a no because nobody's answering. Um, any other questions or comments? I'm here for it. And again, like the coupon code's on the page, but it's FDN 200 for $200 off. So that's pretty awesome. And I'll put the link here. Oh, okay. Thank you, Yvonne. So Yvonne is a mold client and has mold clients. Yvonne, do you want to share a little more in the chat, or I can actually have you come on like video if you're open to it, and we can just sort of chat about your experience. I think it's, great in a sense. It's not great you had mold, but I think a person who's gone through mold is a better guide. That, I don't know. Maybe that's not fair to say, but going through it is so personal, so emotional. So I do feel that having that experience is valuable to bring to your practice. So as much as I, disliked going through mold, I was for traumatizing, to be honest. I'm thankful that I'm able to create these resources for people. I'm thankful for some of the lessons that I've learned, just about life and patience and starting over. So, I do try to bring that into my sessions as well. Is just, the same client I had the other day who's about kind of halfway through. He's just like, I'm impatient. I'm mad. And I said, well, first your brain's affected. And then, yeah, you having chronic illness, you've put in a lot of money. Yeah, it's frustrating, but the lesson you can get from it is, patience and grace and like seeing how far you've come. Um, and sometimes I don't feel like these comments land in the moment, but I hope they land, over time with people. because you don't want someone, I would say I want someone's mold experience to be as good as it can be, you know, um, because we can fight it or we can kind of flow with it. Yvonne, I think you're saying you want to come on live. I think that's what you're saying. So I think you have to use this link to come on live. Or maybe I can invite you. No. Oops. Yvonne, I think you have to use that link to come be on with me. I don't know if that'll screw up your audio or not, but yeah, let's do it. I'd love to hear kind of your other background of training as well. So I don't know if we'll get any like MDs in the course, but it's certainly an opportunity because people want to get some things covered as an insurance, and they want they want like prescriptions sometimes. So, but since I'm not an MD, I'm a functional coach, and I have an acupuncture license, which gets me access to certain things that we're sort of more teaching that way. Oh, here she comes. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
What a beautiful setting.
Thank you.
Where are you? Where do you live in the world?
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. What city are you in?
I'm in Greater Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. Okay. Well, tell us I'm curious. I'm always curious what kind of like mold issues develop in that part of the country.
Okay, so there's like a double.
I thought that might happen. I would close out of the first link that you joined with.
Okay,
Not this one, not the new link.
all right, I will try. I don't know how. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll come back if it fails.
You could close that other tab or
Uh,
like mute that other tab.
I think it worked.
Okay, great, great, great.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
so I was,
So I heard three of your questions. So what is it that you asked me?
you're like, what? What kind of mold issues do you see in Cleveland?
Well, here's the thing. I am a health coach, and I actually work with what were functional medicine patients who either from testing or they came in knowing that they had mold. And since then, that was before, and then I left not knowing that the reason I had brain fog and all kind of other symptoms was because I was had a mold situation.
Oh, you were
I had
treating
been
mold and you
exposed.
didn't know you had mold.
That's right. So they start
Oh.
they identified the fact that I had a kidney disorder and all that, but then they looked at, well, why is that? And the why of that turned out to be, because of a mold exposure.
Oh, I just had a client with this. Same thing.
Yeah. So my kidneys are like better, and I'm better in most respects. Um, and similar things with my patients. Usually they find out that they had because they had a mold exposure at home, and then later down the road they're tested and, oh my god, me too, or they have some symptoms and that caused people to feel like they had um, they needed more testing. So where I come in is just what you were talking about, that second category. The first category, but they're all, what should I do and which thing and all. But then they get to the emotional part and the trauma of it. And well, what do I do? Do I have to move? Do I have to stay? What things do I get rid of? And I went through all of that. And it turned out to be just a small, as far as I know at this point, because this was a year of now my being treated and I'm much better. But so I went back to work, not what I was doing at a location, and I believe that I was mold exposed again because symptoms started coming back. And since I left there, I'm feeling better. So
Oh, so
Yeah,
you had
so
a small issue at your home and then some exposure at
yeah,
a
it was
workplace?
like after I found out I had a bunch of mold, I had an inspector came in and he said, "Oh my God," he came in prepared to write his report based on what I had said. Oh, I have all these icicles and I have this and I have that and there's a crawl space. And so he had his mold inspection report already done in his mind. And they got there, and all that was like perfect. The roof was perfect, the ceiling was
Oh.
perfect, the crawl space had been remediated and was still in great shape. So it wasn't that, but he did find that it was too humid, and some of the locked, I had like a locked closet and a locked half bath that was never used, had mold on the wall.
Oh,
But
so you
he,
kind of were giving him your ideas about what you thought, and
yeah,
then
I was
he
telling
found other
him
things.
all the stuff because I was kind of knowledgeable about, oh, boy, it could be this or that or this or that. And it was none of that. And he didn't suggest I move or do anything. And he gave me the name of somebody to clean it up who didn't do what I would have done. So that, it's kind of a knowledge base. I mean, they just slopped some stuff together, and there had been a leak from an air conditioning pipe that landed on some
Uh,
boxes, and they literally just hauled them out. But they, anyhow, what I'm saying, it was imperfect and left me still not knowing. But what I'm feeling at this point is that this wasn't the problem, and where I worked was the problem. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. There often are multiple sources, either in one home or, like you said, home and work.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what's your training background in
Uh,
health?
I, you know, first of all, I was a life coach for many
Okay.
years. So I'm a
Awesome.
certified
Love
life.
it.
And then years of, then I got interested in health, and I became a certified health coach. And then subsequently, I had a year of functional medicine health coach training,
Ah, what program did you do?
the Functional Medicine Coaching
Oh,
Academy.
oh, okay. Is that the
Not,
one
not
that kind of
FDN,
works with
but I'm
MDs?
familiar with FDN too. So.
Okay. Is yours the one that's a little bit more like to support physicians? Is sort of
It can
okay.
be, and that's what I was doing at the time, so that worked perfectly, and that's what I can do. But a lot of us just hung out our own shingle. I was not one of them. I have since hung out my own shingle because I can. I'm very knowledgeable, and I was a health coach and could hang out, had
Gotcha.
a hung out shingle. so,
Yeah,
so
I feel like ideally, if you're gonna be putting it out as a mold coach, I mean, if you want to, I feel like the labs are really important for the most part. I would say unless you want to do, say, I'm a mold like home health coach, then maybe you don't need all the body labs. But what do you use labs for in your practice?
coincidentally, most of my patients have, you know, were either a functional medicine patient, and they, can still go back there and they can get their labs. But it's helpful to have somebody who can meet with you quite frequently, and support you in all the other things that you need to do, like get good sleep and eat well.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. It really almost needs like a village to support these folks because,
Mhm.
yeah, some of them maybe aren't still following the best diet or they will have questions about the belongings and they may not want to pay like a premium price to ask their functional
Mhm.
coach about that. So I mean, I feel like
Yeah, and
you're the perfect person to come into this conversation because you're giving different examples of like how this work can happen.
mhm,
Yeah, and it could be to support a physician because I have some physician friends, and their time is limited. So if they can have other people on their team to do different therapies, if it's an in-person office or do coaching sessions if it's online.
Mhm.
That's very valuable. So if you're intimidated about the business part of all this, there are jobs, so to speak, in this industry. So that's good news. I think.
Well, and it was hard. People cared, for my situation. But then when I go to my doctor and I say, well, the eye doctor says I'm being able to see 20/20, which lasts a week, and then it goes away. And then you read stuff and it says, mold related, or, there's nobody that can agree with that, and
Yeah,
possibly look into getting the person continuing their treatments and or helping them with those treatments and watching their vision improve. Or I'm just saying, I'm giving you an example of one of the many ways that having a compassionate, supportive ear is helpful for people. And I want
yeah.
you to know you were one of those for me.
Aw.
Okay, all this started. Was attending your summit, and then afterward, I was writing in, and you were back into women's health or whatever you were doing. But I hung on every once in a while. You'd have a workshop or something and invite a speaker like some guy who did home inspections and whatnot. And I thought, oh, thank you.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Those are my early days.
I know.
I did, yeah, I
And
did
here I
when
am
there was that
today, and
big,
you're offering me a
oh,
course that I would have killed to participate
that's
in
how,
at the
yeah, I did not plant Yvonne, but yes, I mean, there's barely any courses out there. I think there's
I
Jill
I
Krista.
agree. And then
Uh,
I find people that I could talk to, and they say, well, I'm not really into mold, but if you finish my elongated program, then we'll refer you to this to get some this company or that company to get a supplement, or one of the very expensive mold doctors.
yeah. Yeah, and
So
frankly, they don't really have time to make these programs. So, I think it's a win-win. I remember, they had that hurricane in Houston and I was like, I gotta do a little event because I was feeling, nervous for what
mhm.
people would go through there. But yeah, it took me a little time. But yeah, I so appreciate you hanging. That was, yeah. So you've had like probably 6 years you've been learning this stuff.
Mhm.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
Does anybody have questions for Yvonne? As she's describing her practice and something I'm curious about Yvonne is you said most of them already have a functional practitioner.
Well,
Are
that was
they
because I was so connected to it. I was working for doctors in a clinic.
okay?
So,
Okay.
uh, so a lot of the people now know I'm out here on my own or out here with another specialty. But one of the things that she can help, one of her things she lists is mold. And if I continue with this, I'm certainly going to be able to help.
Yeah, yeah, and we had a question come through like, are we going to do a directory? I think that's still a maybe, and frankly, I don't always find directories are like the best, most effective way to market, but we will give you like a little logo that you can put on your site that says you were trained with us. So I think that's super cool. It's brand new, but there's nothing much like that out there, and I
Oh
think
no, I can't
there.
wait to get mine. Could we get started
I
like
know.
today?
I know. I'm like ready to hug you for coming on. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a little tough to present this something is so new. But frankly, this is like the future of mold in a sense. Like there is not enough training. There's too many opinions. There's untrained practitioners sort of saying things that aren't appropriate
Mhm,
and they just don't know. So yeah, I've put in a lot of time now, and so has Coach Mickey, who's really lovely. So I think since it's a little of a new concept, I think people are still trying to wrap their heads around it, but Yvonne's a great example of like people need this. There are different career options. There are different ways to slice it. Oh, I know what I was going to say.
mhm.
Most of my clients have other practitioners too, and so I'm good with that. One of my favorite things in the world is you bring me all your stuff and all the stuff you'll be taking, all your labs, and I just go through it. So that's sort of the role that I often get to play. I don't put people on like a big, long committing program because I know they are getting supported in other ways, and I don't know where they're at in their process. So to say, everyone has to start from square one with me in my case isn't great because I have people coming to me, really, experienced with mold already and wanting just some little like questions answered or what do I do in this stage. So we're all different. We're all getting different kinds of clients. I have a friend who's a health coach with gut stuff, and her clients just need to do a lot of basic stuff like chew their food and, get 8 hours of sleep.
That's what I do when I don't have a shingle at this point, though I will, that says I do mold specifically. But what you're just describing is what I do with patients, and it's huge.
It is.
I have a testimonial from a guy who said, "You made all the difference in the world by explaining to me about mindful eating and the benefits of chewing." And he had all kind of digestive disturbances and weight management problems, and he did what I said, and he's better. And
Yeah.
he told his doctor and the dietitian and everybody else, "Well, my help came from Yvonne."
That's so adorable. It's so
and,
adorable.
and the
Yeah.
dietitian supervisor called me. I don't know whether she was being critical or what, but she really wanted me to know that what he had said, that none of the stuff they did helped, but what you said.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do those foundational things. And there's clients out there who need support with that. I'm in a little unusual situation where I'm getting clients who are already gluten free, already, like meditating, EMF blockers, so people need support in all the stages. And so also I want to say to people, don't be intimidated that you have to have so much knowledge to start. You just have to have a little more knowledge than your client and compassion. And, if you can get them eating real food. I mean, I think I lived in a moldy house for so long because I ate real food and I got rid of chemicals, and, I at least had reduced the load in other categories. They kept me. I mean, I still worked full time. I still raised a child. I just still did a lot. I wasn't feeling great, but I was functional, I think, because of all those foundational things that I put in. So they're huge. I think they're hugely important. And if someone's coming into mold, eating fast food and like all the chemical, like I think that's going to be a tough situation because there's in such a heavy load of toxins in another sense too. So what you're doing is so important. I'm so grateful I got to meet you, and
Mhm.
we've been
Uh,
around
It's
following me
like
for so long.
amazing to me that I got. Well, I'm going to tune in. I had a whole big other day planned, but I said I'm going to block off
Aw.
and come back Monday if I need to.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
Yeah,
we have another one
I'm going to be in
Monday.
the course. I'm going to be in the course
Yay!
because
You're gonna be like a
I'm
little mentor in the course. So
well,
I
yeah.
I
Well,
like
I'm going
it.
to be. It's going to refresh and it's going to organize my information. So that'll be
Yeah,
helpful.
for sure. I mean, we all have little gap. Like I have colleague friends who are like doing more with nasal sprays and doing that. And I'm like, oh, I'd like to learn about that. We're always learning. There's always more to learn, right?
That was
So
part of
yeah.
mine. Part of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So
Okay, yeah,
I
bring
come
that
up
in.
in the nasal thing and how it's not the neti pot and a few other things. So yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. I think that you're making me realize this can be a little bit of a think tank where we share, well, this worked really well for me. And, um, cause yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted Coach Mickey on this with me because she studied with different teachers than me. And
Mhm.
so we both treat a little differently. So I,
Mhm.
I really wanted her to bring her knowledge. She's always trying to defer to me, and she's like, well, I want to teach what you teach. I'm like, no, please bring what you've learned, to this, because like it's not my way or the highway. It's just like, let's all find the best resources. I'm I'm never dogmatic that that I am the only one who knows something. So
And I appreciate that, and I'm anticipating that in advance. But I'm also coming with a beginner's mind to
I
what
love
I'm not
it.
coming to the door like I know everything. Listen to me. No.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a small group, and that's really adorable. And I think, hopefully we'll get to know each other and, yeah, hear each other's experience. Maybe people will do some networking in the class. So it's perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming
Like a
on.
little mini miracle. I wasn't planning on it otherwise. I
Oh,
would.
it's perfect. Yeah, I was like, I don't even know if anyone's going to come to this, but I feel like it's so new. We need to kind of just more and more chances to explain it and talk about
I
it.
think you're going to
And
be surprised.
I hope so, girl.
Us out here.
Yeah, they're
And we're all
okay.
still
That's great to
traumatized
hear.
from our experience. So, from our initial experience of wandering through nowhere, trying to come to a conclusion.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I felt so alone. I felt so embarrassed, which I'm almost embarrassed to say that I felt embarrassed. It's like, why was I embarrassed? But it just feels weird. You feel like you're a weirdo, and it's,
I had friends that say, "Is your house still radioactive?"
oh gosh.
See,
I think in
and it
retrospect,
was
I
during
had a
the
lot of good.
during the
I don't have
pandemic.
nobody to say stuff like that to me, but yeah, it's a lot.
They
So
weren't
yeah.
mean. They were just like concerned. I mean, they couldn't come over anyway because it was during the pandemic.
Oh,
They were
okay.
saying,
They
well,
just
when
didn't
it's
understand it.
over,
I
I'm
remember at one
gone.
point I had my parents watch someone else's webinar about mold, and I really appreciated that they watched it because they just didn't really understand. Um, and but they were always supportive. But I think just a little knowledge, and it's definitely growing. If I get in an Uber home from the airport, they'll often chit chat and say, why are you in Arizona? And I'll say, well, actually, I went through this big mold experience, and now people are like, oh yeah, I know about that, like I know that's a thing. And I'm like, really? So I think there is some awareness growing.
More than you think. That's all I got to say, especially in moldy areas. And think about all the places that flooded over the past year and all the
Yeah.
hurricanes and
Yeah.
this and that, and places that were moldy to begin with, you know, shows that
Yeah, whatever reason you
place.
think what's going on with the climate, I won't get into that, but there's a new hurricane about to land, a tropical storm about to land in California, and it's crazy. They say, there's going to be a lot of flooding. So, yeah, it's there is need for sure. So,
Right. That's why I'm here. I'm getting in on the ground floor here.
yeah, really. It's big business. It's a good insurance plan for the future, sadly. Okay, well, I'm going to
Take me off.
ask you,
Yeah.
yeah,
Otherwise,
I'll take you
I could
off.
keep going for
I
hours,
know.
and I don't
We're
want
like
to. But whatever.
yeah.
However,
No, I appreciate you being brave and coming on. And I'll just take any last questions and then we'll wrap up today. Okay, so
well,
whoops, sorry. Didn't mean to do that so quickly. Um yeah, looks like we still have a few people on. If you have any last comments or questions, it's just super nice for me to actually meet people and get to know some names. Because one of my hardest things in my job is that I feel kind of alone over here, just doing a lot of work behind a computer. So I'm excited that you guys are here today, and whoever decides to come be part of the course. I think it's going to, Vaughn just gave me an example, it's going to be really special to just to get to know each other. Um, we really have never done something like this. We don't really even offer group coaching. So this is our big thing. We've been working on this all year, and we're just super excited to have you. So the link is in the chat. Let me put it in again. Whoops, that's not the right one. And I'll put the coupon code in the chat. The coupon code is going to last the whole registration period to the 31st, but the early bird ends the 21st. So I'd say it's worthwhile if you know you're going to do it to do the early bird, because then you're going to save a lot more money. FDN, there's the code. Okay, I don't see any more questions. So just thanks again for being here. I am going to do another one Monday if you want another chance to chat. Um, and I might do like throwing an Instagram live. So I put my email in there. I'll put it again. If you're having any trouble getting the payment plan working or you have a private question to ask me, I am all in to get students to this thing and make it a big success and get more practitioners out there in the world. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great Saturday. Appreciate you.